The topic of the panel is basically zero waste manufacturing, an approach to manufacturing that sort of closes the loop and minimizes or eliminates waste in general. So not just the plastics in this case, but also the other materials, energy, water, and other resources. And obviously, this has come to the forefront because of concerns about sustainability, about global warming. And I guess that the interesting thing about the potential of zero waste, if it works, is that it allows us to become more sustainable and at the same time also increase innovation and improve competitiveness for the companies that are successful in doing this. Right. So just to set the stage and introduce yourself,
sure.
Because some of you haven't heard Naveed speak. So maybe you can say a few words about yourself.
Sure. Innate passion for transforming organizations towards a strong sense of purpose. And we do that with cultural transformation with quantifiable frameworks. So we help organizations identify the purpose, quantify the needs, assess the culture, and help them take that journey. And I've been doing that for about 20 years now. It's finally bearing some fruit, currently helping GSK. One point that really bothers me, and has been bothering me for the last few years, is this concept of CSR. Many corporates, many of them have those. Think about corporate social responsibility. That's generally a very small program out of the major production that enterprise does. They do this one small thing, and then they send their people to do that project. If you think about it, if they are sending somebody to do good on that one small thing, which could be 1% of the overall or even less, what are they doing 99% of the time? So there's this dilemma. 99% of the time, they're not really contributing to make this world a better place, to improve people's lives. And that 1% is just to cover up that hidden feeling of, oops, we're doing something wrong. The good thing now is people are moving on from CSR, going into CSV, which is corporate social value. That means the innate DNA of an enterprise now is to be purposeful, to produce something that is going to add value. It's not going to make this world a worse place than it was while making money. Making money is not the problem. Making money at any cost is a problem. And hence, this is very, very important for us to recognize and to bring it up to our leadership and to our boards and to the policies that why should a company operate if they're not really adding value to this globe?
Yes. One of the things I'm seeing is if you look at some of the startups that are coming in many ecosystems that we develop. So I've been working with the Israeli ecosystem as well as Punch in India and other places. A lot of these startups are coming up with solutions for problems like these. And they come with very specialized skills and specialized products and services. So that collaboration is important. The bigger issue is our supply chains are so complex. How do you get alignment even within an organization? So how do you get alignment between different participants in your entire supply chain to commit to something like this and work together? So one of the things there we see is having common goals and having a financial objective out of it makes a lot of sense. Business is meant for generating wealth. So if we put a financial alignment, it helps. One example I saw was American Eagle Outfitters, right? So they have been collaborating with their competition in managing fulfillment centers and logistics. What really happened was they were using this Kiva robots initially. And when Amazon acquired them and said, you cannot use it any longer, so they started building their own technology. They ended up creating this company called Locus Robotics. Now, what they do is they have joint management of fulfillment centers. So here, the company is actually working with its own competitors to see how you can make the world a better place. And from competition, they are going to a co-optation kind of framework. So that may be something to think about.
Yes, so from competition to cooperation to competition, which is a great place to be. I think, and that incentive you mentioned about financial incentive, definitely. That's why topic of my speech was purpose-powered profitability. If it's not profitable, well, the business can't survive. It has to be sustainable.
What kind of skills and knowledge do employees need to have? But maybe I should broaden that question to sort of also awareness or values, or and with employees I mean every level in the organization, of course. So what is your view on that, Naveed?
Yes, so I'll need to step back from this situation a little bit. If you think about the skills and you try to bring those skills up in your organizations, yes, you're trying to address the symptom of the problem. The root cause is somewhere else. I'll give you some more statistics to help you understand the gravity of the situation. Last year, there was a great resignation. Great resignation meant millions of people resigned from a job that they had for a while without having another replacement option for them. Can you think about how silly would that be, right? You don't have another source of income. You've been on this role, you've been making some good money, and you suddenly say, no, I don't want to do this anymore. I'll just quit. Right? So that's the great resignation in a nutshell. There's another thing that is happening now. It's been happening for a while, but it's come to the press now. It's called quiet quitting. Now, quiet quitting is even worse. That's where you're not motivated, you're not interested in doing the job, but because you have bills and mortgages and everything else, you're staying on the job and fulfilling the basic requirement only so that the company can't fire you. Imagine the loss of human creativity and the motivation and the energy and the skills. People are amazingly talented and they're on the job, but not doing what they're supposed to do. And this is a compound effect of all this lack of purpose in businesses. And you look at the next generation, the great thing is they're demanding purpose. So skill will come. They can learn anything. They've got ChatGPT, they can do everything like that, right? The thing is, the motivation has to come from within, and it has to be a combination of the mind and the heart together. If the heart and the mind are not working together, you will not be motivated. And if you're not motivated, irrespective of however many trainings you do, coaching you get, consulting you get, there won't be any change. So that's the premise. Now, the skills that we need. Once we have this motivation side sorted, we have the right set of goals tied to the purpose of the organization. Let the people identify what they need to learn. So you give them a challenge and you create this right kind of environment and the culture for them to solve it with a lot more autonomy than we give right now. So right now what happens is senior leadership and subject matter experts get together and say, okay, we're going to do this, define a project plan. This is your budget, go do it, right? But you have chosen the team already, you've chosen the problem already, and you have to an extent you also know the estimations. That means you have tried to solve the problem yourself as well, upfront. That's not how it's going to be. You need creativity, you need autonomy, you need mastery. So while you're developing mastery, you need to give people that autonomy. And that all tied with a purpose really drives this intrinsic motivation to learn. They can learn any skills. We were having this earlier session. There's some excellent 40 skills that were highlighted, right? The most needed World Economic Forum has mentioned those 40 skills. Any skill you pick up will not be enough. That's the bottom line. Unless we make this learning culture, making every organization, every employee, giving them this freedom to learn what they need to learn, and solve a problem and add value. That's how it's going to be. The careers are going to shift. We talked about, most of us in this room would have already changed 3 to 4 careers in our lives till now, 15, 20 years of experience. In the future, it's almost like a minimum of 6. So if you're going to shift 6 careers, I can't tell you what skills you need. You need to continuously learn. I do fintech, AI in healthcare, business consulting, culture change, all sorts of things. I have a technology background and business studies, a combination of those, but I love learning. That's how I survive. And that's the future from my perspective. We need to equip people for self-learning and that intrinsic motivation that drives the heart and mind.
it's driven by cost, isn't it? I mean, what you said, profit at any cost. Do you think that's a cultural thing anyway? And that's the cultural thing we need to change, Because I think, like you said, with the recycling with Eastman, I mean, superb stuff. I mean, it's great, but there's cost involved in that, isn't there? So really, I mean, I suppose what you're saying is, for my drinks bottle, every time it gets recycled, I have to pay another euro for it, an extra euro. And that's the cultural change we need to accept. Do you not think that? Really, we're gonna have to pay for it.
Penalty, right? Yes. Yes. So penalty is one way to motivate people, but then there are other more effective ways as well. The moment motivation comes from inside, which is more tied to thinking about the planet and the people together. What you mentioned earlier about this at any cost, that's the key.
That's the problem.
We need to recognize that people don't really earn. So for example, we are staying in this hotel right now. If we leave the lights on in the room, who's going to pay for it? I'm a keynote speaker, conference organizers paid for my room. They paid the hotel. So I'm creating a waste by not utilizing the resources carefully.
Yeah.
I'm creating this waste. I am responsible for it. Unless that motivation is coming from inside, we are going to mess this world, keep on messing this world.
So it's a cultural change.
It's a cultural change. We need to take responsibility. It's very, very important.
I would actually put a little more positive spin on it. And the point is this. So, I mean, all of us are responsible for the culture that we build within our organization. And I'm a true believer that there's no point, you get feedback bottom up. So you can get information from people in the people who are doing all the work. But culture, all leaders have to take ownership. So a lot of top-down, to do that culture change, top-down, the leadership has to say that, hey, we are committed to this because innovation, profit with social impact makes a lot of sense for us as a company. And it has to be driven top-down. And by doing that, we can make the change. I am seeing a lot of younger generations actually come up and I remember in a restaurant, somebody gives you a drink and you pick up a straw. There are kids who come and say, don't use it. It's going to be out in the season. It's going to be troubling the fish. So don't do this. So when a lot of people are that conscious, think top down, driving it through leadership, messaging and commitment, and even the vision for the company. If we do that properly, then it'll be a lot easier to achieve that mind shift.
And whether anybody is looking at us or not, our conscience needs to drive this intrinsic, right? It has to be here and here together.
Yeah, you have
so
to feel for your
exactly, and we should treat even every second of our lives as a balance sheet for this planet.
So what we did was, I mean, there are all these companies like your Zara and H&M. They all do this recycling of clothes. So they either, if it's really bad, they will clean it up, and then from clothes you make bags and all that. Otherwise, they refurbish clothes in good condition and send it for aid and all that. So one thing we were thinking about is charity with dignity. How do you do that? So this is very interesting. There's an organization called Tully. What they do is they collect these old clothes, they refurbish them, clean them up, all that. And they have something like a retail store. It's a very nice store where they put in a price tag, and then they create coupons with certain money, like paper money they create. And for families where they want to give charity, they go and give these coupons and tell the family you can come and shop. So when they come in, children experience, instead of getting a hand-me-down, you're walking in somewhere, looking at stuff, buying it with whatever paper money you got. So there was this whole concept of how do you do all this with dignity. And again, somebody personally felt this so much, bunch of people got together, we brainstormed and then said, okay, let's do this, and pitched in and said, we are going to rent a store in this place, and this is how we are going to do this.
So good. I'll just add a great story. I'll just touch on the question from the audience there earlier. One of the solutions that I think we all need to consider very seriously is challenge this overproduction mindset. We produce so much, we optimize that we will recycle all the stuff in that production. But if it is overproduction, if there is no need, and we are just creating a want to increase the sales initially, and then you create a market. So now you've done, let's say you've done overproduction right now. What would you do? What typically all organizations do? You need to increase the marketing and the sales budgets. You try to sell at any cost. You try to create some incentives. Why? We created the problem first, and then we solved it by creating another problem. Meaning, first we created weight on the planet by overproduction, and then we are force feeding people to buy those things. And now we want them to recycle. We have to nip it at the bud, meaning root cause is overproduction, one of the key issues. So this just in time, only by order, only a need is key. We need to reduce consumption.
Would anyone like to respond to this? Or do we all agree? Okay. Well, apparently people agree with you. Good.